to do that. All right, so welcome to the OSTCP Out of School Time Career Pathways Grant discussion. This is our first official kickoff since contracts have been initiated. We have lots of new people on the call today, so I would ask that we take just a quick minute to make a verbal introduction, but then also so that I can ensure that I have the correct contact information, email addresses, and things of that nature. I would also ask that you use the chat feature to put your name, the site you're with, and the email that is best for me to contact you with. So if you would please drop that into the chat, that would be great. I'll go ahead and start with the introductions to kick those off. My name is Crystal Hall. I work with the Iowa After School Alliance, and I work most closely with the 21st Century Community Learning Center program, doing some monitoring and support to those programs on behalf of Vic. So, and if it's okay with you, I'm just going to call you out according to how you are on my screen. So I'm going to ask Nikki to go next, please.
Good morning. Nikki Clausen. I'm with the Council Bluffs School District, the 21st Century Programs. I'm the program director for our district.
Thank you, Nikki. Vic, I have you next.
I'm Vic Jarvis, Iowa Department of Education. I am the state official overseeing this grant, and also the 21st Century.
Thank you. Barb?
Barb Schmitz. I'm a school counselor in Owine. I'm the director of the 21st Century Grant. I will just be taking a back seat in this grant, but I'm here today to kind of hand the reins over to Mr. Hadley and Mr. Lape, who will introduce themselves.
Thank you, Barb. Emily, I have you next.
Hi, Emily Harris. I work at the Iowa After School Alliance alongside Crystal and Brittany. I mainly focus on policy and communications.
Thank you, Emily. Paul? Oh, Paul, you're muted.
There we go. Paul Hance, Career Education Coordinator for Council Bluffs Community Schools.
Thank you. Dalton, I have you next.
Hello, I'm Dalton Lape from Owine Community School District. I am the work-based learning coordinator here at the school.
Yeah, good to have you on the call today, Dalton. Brittany, I have you next.
Hi all, Brittany Samuelson, Network Director of the Iowa After School Alliance, and I'm working with Crystal and Emily on this project.
Thanks, Brittany. Nicole?
Hey everybody, Nicole Schleife from Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Iowa. I'm the Chief Development Officer.
Thanks, Nicole. Tim, I have you next.
Tim Hadley, Owine High School Principal.
Hi, Tim. Elena?
Hi, my name is Elena. I am the Assistant Director for the 21st Century Grant in Council Bluffs School District.
Okay, I think, well, your screen name says NK, but I think it's Nisa, correct?
Correct. Good morning, Nisa Taylor. I am the Director of Operations at Boys and Girls Club of Central Iowa.
Good morning, Nisa. Thank you. Ariel.
Hi, I'm Ariel Dupay, and I am with Boys and Girls Club of Central Iowa.
Good morning, Ariel. I have Chris next.
Good morning, guys. Chris Noth over at E.T. Meredith Jr. Boys and Girls Club with Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Iowa.
All right. And then we have one more person on the call. Jackie, are you able to unmute and just introduce yourself very quickly?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jackie Norris, and I have the pleasure of working with Crystal and the rest of the team at SPPG in supporting this great initiative. And thanks for letting me join and listen and learn.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So I believe that was everybody, but if I happen to miss somebody, go ahead and unmute and speak up now if you don't mind. Okay. All right, so Vic, I guess we didn't necessarily talk about this ahead of time, but I figured that you and I would kind of co-facilitate this meeting. Do you want to address item number 2 on the agenda?
Yes. First off, it's okay if we have some changes in personnel. That's normal for any grant. However, you do have to notify me. Send me an email and explain who the new person is, what their role is going to be, and I will report that to the feds. This grant is a little different because normally with the 21st Century, I meet twice a year with them. This grant, I'm meeting every month. And the reason is this is a priority area for them. What that means to us is there's possibly more money going to be available in the future, and that's a good thing. So we want to keep giving them the information. And Crystal sent out to you a document that I got from the feds from one of our monthly calls. And you see the questions that they were asking me. So take a look at that. And if you can add something that I didn't already say, then go ahead and copy that whole question, put your response in and send it to me via email so that I can forward it on to the feds. And we got to keep that information flowing because that's very critical with these federal grants. Also, there's a federal statute for that. Both the changing of the programs and providing the feds with the information they request. So,
Vic, just a follow-up question to that. Would it be better or easier for them to email those to me and then I could compile them into one document for you? Or do you prefer to have
I like that
email?
idea.
Okay. All right. So folks, we will have a little bit of discussion about that in just a moment. But again, the document that I had sent out with the agenda for today had those questions that Vic just referenced. So again, we'll more fully talk about that in just a moment. It is an agenda item for us, but feel free to send those to me. And again, I'll be happy to combine those and get those to Vic in that capacity. So Vic, is there anything else that you need to address with item number 2?
I think we did it all.
All right. So I'm going to move on to professional development right now, unless, of course, there's questions regarding key personnel updates or timelines or anything like that that people want to bring up right now. You can feel free to unmute or pop something into the chat.
Crystal, do you want me to, I have some updates. We're in the process of getting our work-based learning coordinator hired, and it's all but done. We're just waiting for the background checks and reference checks and all that. Is that something, does that kind of relate back to what Vic just said? Is that information that I need to start, can I keep moving forward to you? Is that an example of what you need, or tell me more about what you need?
If it matches the questions that, if it's one of those things that the feds had asked a question about, then yes.
And those questions, I'm assuming, is that the grade? I'm looking at the document you sent. Is that where it says review other grant topics? What are are those the questions you're referring to?
Let me grab that document real quick and I'll share it on screen.
It's the one that says March, April OSTCP call record.
Right.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and grab that document.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then there's subtopics in there like data systems.
Right. So those are the questions. Okay. Okay. And I'm sorry I got you off track, Crystal. Maybe I pulled you down a different rabbit hole, but
Yeah. So I guess maybe I am also kind of hearing your question a little differently is I had thought maybe you were asking if we were asking the sites to provide updates at this point, verbal updates.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, let us kind of get through the first agenda items, and then we'll absolutely turn it over to the sites to be able to give an update on where everybody is.
Okay.
So what you should be seeing on your screen right now is that March, April out of school time career pathway call record. We will come back to this in just a moment and address any questions that people might have where that's concerned. So I'm going to go back to the agenda here. can somebody give me a quick thumbs up and just let me know, are you able to see the agenda again?
Yep.
Okay, I see some, yeah. All right, so I do want to talk very quickly about professional development at this point. This is a required component of the grant. We will be holding professional development sessions specifically for this group. These will be held quarterly. We're going to kick off our season session, whatever you want to call it, on May 19th. This is going to be a 2-hour professional development. It'll be done virtually through Zoom. Our presenters will be Dennis Harden. He's with the Iowa Department of Education Career and Technical Education Bureau. And I may have kind of inverted some of those languages there. He and his team, which consists of 2 other ladies, Christy and Katie, will be presenting a general overview of career and technical education and what it takes to have a high quality career pathways program, particularly as it pertains to out of school time. Several of you on the call today are very well versed in out of school time possibilities. Several of you are very well versed on career and technical education and career pathways programming. We just want to make sure that we're melding it together because, of course, this grant is specific for out of school time opportunities. So we hope that you find it informative, and it'll be a great way to kind of kick off this grant, so to speak. The second professional development opportunity that we have, and right now we do not have a hard and fast date for that, we're looking at August, is we were contacted by the Iowa Mentoring Project. Fantastic organization that serves multiple sites across the state. They have a Connect, Focus, Grow mentor training that we would like to roll out with each of your sites. The August training will involve yourselves, so it'll give you an overview of the program. And then there's an opportunity for those who are interested, and it is our sincere hope that you will be interested because I think it could be a very valuable training to do the next step in that training, which would be with your partners. So those places that you are doing your placements for internships, apprenticeships, post-secondary education opportunities, things of that nature, and your youth. So I think that that could be a really cool component to this. And again, more information will be coming. Now, Brittany was also on that call with me, and she did just let me know, oh, and there she is. Okay, so she is back. Brittany, what else would you add to the discussion for the Connect, Focus, Grow mentor training?
And Crystal, I'm sorry, I didn't really hear you before. I'm having a little bit of a family emergency, so I trust that you covered it well.
Yeah.
But we'll send out more information.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, we'll send out more information too, of course.
Okay. Thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions about professional development?
Let me add this. If you guys have some specific professional development needs, these meetings are the place to communicate that. Also, you can do it via email and that, and we're going to do our best to provide you with that PD. And think about this as a cohort. The PD for this grant is going to be cohort focused. So we're going to, try to hit all the participants with the same PD. And that's, pretty much a college type way of organizing PD, and it's very effective.
Absolutely. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat. And again, of course, feel free to unmute at any time. So I do think that we'll turn it over to Vic again, and he'll just give some reminders for financials this morning.
Okay, well, on the financials, I had a question from Council Bluffs, and let me go into my email. And I know this is going to be, let me get my glasses on. Okay, Dean Wilson, who's the CFO of Council Bluffs, had a question about accounts. And my response from the department was, we generally assign one source project code for each CFDA since there aren't enough numbers in the series, using restricted federal grants through the state to assign a different number for every individual grant that districts may receive from the same CFDA. I assume that the CFDA for these grants is 84.287, like the other 21st century grants. Also, does the state use a separate unit origin number for this funding, and what is used for the other 21st century fundings in the Department of Accounting? So we do use, it is the same CFDA number with the letter D at the end of it. It would appear that we can use those 21st century codes, but you know, you should try to keep a separate record of this in case there's ever any kind of a federal audit. So hopefully everybody got their contracts and they're getting things in place. And I'm hoping that it'll get in the CASA system for the fourth quarter. Right now it's the third quarter. You shouldn't have any expenses to put in there now, so that the next quarter coming up, you may have some expenses that you want to put into CASA. So anybody have any questions on the financials?
Hey, Vic, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Is the reimbursement periods, are those going to align with like the other 21st century grants?
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
yes
Like,
and no.
the windows are gonna, okay.
Okay. For this grant, your first reimbursement period is actually the end of the state fiscal year.
Right,
But
start
wait.
April, May, June, right?
Yeah. So you'll be putting in your amounts in those windows for the 21st century. We're not going to open up brand new windows.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
What other questions do people have regarding financials? All right. Well, if something does come up, please feel free to.
Thought of one. Vic, is there any carryover? I mean, I'm assuming we'll probably use the money in a year, but that's just always a question we have. If we don't use our allotted amount in the 12 months, is there carryover?
That is a good question.
Thanks, Vic.
I am going to have to ask that on my next meeting with the feds.
Okay.
Because, you know, every grant is a little bit different.
Right. Well,
And
I
I'm
mean, I don't
assuming the first year
anticipate
might have some carryover, but keep in mind that we're getting, you know, the end of the quarter is really the first time, and you're going to have, it's a little bit of a different cycle for where you would do carryover, because those contracts started April 1st. So you've got until April 1st, 2022, you know, to spend all that money from this allocation. I don't think we're going to have a problem, but I will certainly ask that question if
Okay.
that is allowable.
Okay, thank you, Vic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions about financials? Okay, Vic, why don't you go ahead and start running through the reporting requirement then?
Okay, well, we've got the new GEPRA measures. You guys are going to be receiving, I'm thinking we might do a kind of a survey, and then I will put the aggregate into the G5 system. And hold on, I think I have an email with some updated information on that. Actually, I think it's right in that. Okay, yeah, here it is. Here, the new GEPRA measures. So they want the cumulative unduplicated number of students participating in the program and the cumulative number of program participants who receive an industry recognized credential and the cumulative number of credentials received, the cumulative number of program participants who complete an internship, the cumulative number of program participants who complete an apprenticeship, and the cumulative percentage of program participants that receive a credential or completed an internship or apprenticeship. So, you know, it's a small amount of information.
Vic, do you want to forward that to me and I can easily pop it into a SurveyMonkey or whatever platform we feel is appropriate for collecting that data?
Well, everybody already has it. It's in that document, the Career Pathways Call Record. It says review GEPR measures right above the review other grant topics.
Okay. How often do you need that information reported, Vic?
As far as I know, it'll be reported once a year. And I believe that the reporting period will be the end of the year.
Yeah, Barb, if you give me just a moment, I'll happily send that document out again. Okay, so folks, I think, again, what we'll probably end up doing is I will send a link at the end of the year. And Vic, please clarify for me what end of year means for this particular grant.
Well, that could change, but I'm anticipating they're going to want it by the end of, you know, the end of December, the calendar year.
Calendar year?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that could change.
Okay. So folks, very similarly to what we do for your professional development template, your community partners template, I will be sending out either a document or a SurveyMonkey link that will have those questions. And I will share that document in a minute because we've had a couple of requests for that. Those will be made available to you that way. And I'll give you a deadline so that you'll need to complete the survey or return the template or whatever we decide in a certain amount of time so that Vic can go ahead and get that put into the system. So.
Yeah, we'll try to put it in, frame it up in terms so there's a little bit of narrative for each one of those measures so that we can give you some suggestions on, you know, what it's going to look like.
Right. I'm going to grab that document real quick and pop it into the chat so that people can get it. But then also I will send this out again with the meeting materials. Oh, and it's doing that silly thing where it doesn't always want to attach correctly. So give me a second here, folks. I'm sorry. But yes, we'll get this sent out to you so that you can see what we mean. All right, it's not allowing me to attach that right now.
I just got an updated email. That's that. This is from our finance. I'm still trying to sort through a few things before it's determined for sure. Sorry this is taking so long. So there might be still some guidance coming on, you know, the financial end. I will let you guys know, but meanwhile, you know, we've got to get the money to you. So just go ahead. I'm going to say, go ahead and use the 21st century codes until they give us something different.
Okay.
You can always make an adjustment later.
So on your screen right now are the GEPR measures that Vic just referenced. And again, I'll get this sent out to the entire group after I load in the new email addresses and whatnot. I'll send this out again after the meeting so that everybody has this information. So, Any questions about reporting at this point?
Is reporting going to start then at the end of this year, 2021?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's the timeline.
Okay, thanks, Vic.
Yeah, they said to me like that they were going to start looking at it in the fall. And if you look at those measures, what are they asking for? They're asking for those kinds of experiences that kids would be getting from a CTE, other than what they're not asking for is, how many field trips. They're looking for a little bit more, hard data.
Okay. So with that being said, again, look for items coming to me, from me, to you regarding these GEPRA measures. And again, I'll provide a template or a SurveyMonkey link and a deadline so that everybody can complete that and return it to me in a timely fashion. It might be a good idea for each site to kind of designate the person who's going to complete that. Because again, you don't want two people from the same site reporting different things. So maybe have some internal discussion regarding that. And if you could let me know who will be the data collection person for your site, that would be really appreciated. I'm going to keep on this document then, because this is the next item on the agenda. Vic, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you to talk a little bit more about these questions from the feds, and you will just have to tell me, scroll up, scroll down, whatever we need to do for this, okay?
Oh, another thing too on these, GEPRA measures, we may have some programs that, they brought in students before, but they never had, the paperwork to say, this has been a formal apprenticeship. They might have just had a student come in for a month, and you may want to work with them to develop something that you can track and call, and say, this is, an apprenticeship. And it could be like, say, building trades, where they go and work with some carpenters for a month, work with plumbers for a month, work with electricians for a month, work with, various aspects of putting together a house. So we can think outside of the box. It doesn't have to be something that's already established.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And Vic, I'm assuming that you'll want some of that anecdotal evidence as well, so I can build that into the reporting template.
Wonderful. And I'm happy to report to the feds that we are developing our own apprenticeship programs in Iowa. Because some of them, I'm sure there are gaps that we're going to find, that things don't exist for kids that really need to. Okay, let's go over these questions here. The data systems, they wanted to know, considering the GEPRA measures, have you set up an appropriate data system? Yeah, for those couple of questions, we only need to do, a survey to get that information. And then they also want to know, can we collect demographic data on the participants? So keep that in mind. We will be asking you some demographics, even though it's not on those GEPRA measures. And then the next one is, beyond the GEPRA measures, are you planning to collect other qualitative data? And if so, what? And qualitative is the kind of things where we would ask the students about what this experience meant to you. The kind of remarks that a student might say, this program changed my life. So that's another thing. Although, I don't know, we might have to come up with a report to give that to the feds in writing rather than the GEPRA, because the G5 is not going to have a spot on there for that. But it's good for us to report those success stories. Priority for the next competition. So they want to know, if we're going to give a priority to grantees that are going to work with career and tech. And we'll offer some priority points for it just so that we're in line with federal regulations. But honestly, most of our applications are elementary in Iowa, and that is by choice. And then what is the process for adding a career path priority? And then I just, kind of talked about it, and also provided the feds with a little documentation from Dr. Heckman, because, he's got the research that you get more bang for your buck if you can work with the kids when they're younger. It doesn't mean that, we stop working with the kids, but, we need to focus a lot more effort on the younger kids, and the older kids need to be more independent. Okay, summer programming. They want to know, are we offering any summer career pathway programs? If yes, please explain. And I said the programs are planning now, but if you're offering something in summer, make sure you shoot that my way and say, hey, Vic, we're going to do this over the summer, so I can send it to them. And also, if you have pictures, send me a picture, not of a kid standing by a building, but, maybe the kids, working on something, be it welding, be it art, whatever it is, kind of action pictures. Has anyone issued a press release? And then I says, to my knowledge, Owine and Council Bluffs. I didn't know about Des Moines. If you guys at the Boys and Girls Club have a press release, send me a copy of that so I can send it on to the feds. Is there a media contact person we should keep in touch with? And of course, our Bureau Communications Chief has contacted me about it, and they said they were going to do a story, but I haven't heard from them. It might be a while. And are all the subawards in place? Yes. So that's a good thing. Staffing. Are there any staffing updates? So that's why I said, if you have something that's changing, are all positions filled? And then is the level of effort been updated in the G5? And, for something like that, if they want me to make changes in there, I'll have a meeting with them and they can walk me through that. That G5 system is, if you think CASA is bad, it's a walk in the park compared to G5. Okay, community partners. Any changes in your community partners? At this time, I answered no, but you're probably going to be adding. So as you add and expand community partnerships for this grant, don't forget to make a note of it. Send me an email. Hey, Vic, we've got a new partner. 21st century sites, recruitment, family engagement. Of course, we have been in touch with 21st century because you all are 21st century grants. And they want to know also, are we back to in person? And we are. And what they want to know if student recruitment has begun. This was something I wasn't sure about, and you guys could update me on this one because you may already be recruiting students for the program. And what is the project? Has the project reached out to parents? And so you probably want to have a meeting like this, a kickoff meeting where you bring in students and parents and talk about some of the possibilities that are open to students. And, maybe you bring in some folks from the colleges or the trades and, have them be a part of this meeting. So as you get that information, shoot it on through us. And then any changes in the status of the rural districts involved, and I pointed out no. and they want to know about the STEM component of the project. And I just said, we have multiple STEM components. And that was pretty much it. So they ask a lot of questions, and, you know, we need to think about this as a pipeline, that we're continually sending them information, because apparently, you know, they wouldn't be doing this on a monthly basis unless it was kind of a priority for them to gather data for new funding that's coming up.
Okay. So folks, if you remember back with me, then everybody has this document, or will have it shortly after the meeting today. If you can respond to any or all of these questions, and using the system where you'll make the statement and then you'll put DM for Des Moines or CB for Council Bluffs, or OE, I assume, for Owine. If you would do that, Vic, when do you need to have these responses back to be able to respond to the feds with?
Before my next meeting.
And when is that meeting?
They haven't told me. It's a different day whenever they get around to it.
Okay. So folks, can I ask, is it reasonable to have you complete those responses and get those back to me by next Friday? Okay, I'm seeing some head shakes. I saw a thumb. So, and yes, Nicole, I did receive your document, so I will go ahead and grab that. Again, what I'll be doing is I'll take your responses to those individual questions and I will compile them into a single document that I can then forward to Vic for his call. So please go ahead and get those to me by May 7th, I believe is the date. So.
Yep. So keep in mind, this is not a one and done. This is an ongoing. So hang on to that document and look at those questions. And there are some of them that are going to be, you know, changing maybe every other month. And, you know, just keep me informed. You know, we did pretty good. There was only 4 states that got this award, and we were one of them. And, you know, part of that reason is because we have a track record of giving the feds information. And that's a huge thing for the feds. And I think it'll be advantageous to us in the future as they release more funding.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so that completes our agenda at this point. So now we would just like to use these last 15 minutes to get some updates, or if sites want to share out on things that you've done, things that you're doing, directions you're moving, highlights, lowlights, whatever you'd like to share. So who would like to go first?
Hey, Crystal, this is Paul. Before we jump in, can I ask Vic a quick question? And you might have said it, but it didn't stick. How often, moving forward over the next course of the 5 years, how often would you need some feedback on those questions? So basically, this is kind of just kind of reporting out on some of these things. How often would that be a quarterly thing, monthly thing?
Well, right now I am meeting with the feds on a monthly basis. That could change.
Okay, so basically we're going to create a running document with and using these questions as kind of the guide.
Yes.
And it's kind of taking, basically it's the implementation plan from step 1 all the way through for the next 5 years. That's what it kind of looks like to me anyway. I mean, the questions make sense. And so, but I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking long term, it might be good practice for us to, as a group here in Council Bluffs, at least to once a month, if that's how often you're going to be needed to report, that we sit down as a team here and kind of look at each question. And there might be updates on some of these lines, and there may not be, depending on the depth of the question. But I think we could start a document that just kind of a running document over the course of this next 5 years that just kind of moves along each time you report. So.
Yep, this is a little bit different from, the 21st Century Grant, but, I think the feds need a little more information and they need it a little more timely. And so, we'll do our best to accommodate them.
Well, I can jump in with just a quick update with what we've done so far as moving forward with our work-based learning program. We've interviewed some candidates, and we've got a candidate that I'm waiting for background checks and all that fun stuff that HR has to do. Once we get her on board, we're already moving. We've got a registered apprenticeship already started in welding and CNA. We've got a couple of students at Logier who are already engaging in these work-based learning experiences and a registered apprenticeship. We have Greer Sisson, who's coming to Council Bluffs today to be part of we have a college career, or it's a signing day for seniors. Well, so it used to be that when a student would sign on to a college or start to go to a college, they'd make an event out of it. Well, we added registered apprenticeships to that event. So along with students who are going to be going off to Iowa State or going off to Iowa Western Community College, we have students, we're going to recognize them for starting in a registered apprenticeship. And so that's going to be this afternoon. So Greer's going to come to town to kind of help kick that off. Yesterday, we had a conference. I set up a meeting with our counselors and our high school principals so they could be very clear and understanding of what the work-based learning program is going to be and what it is, just to inform them about what's going to be going on at Council Bluffs. I know counselors have a lot of things going on, and I don't want to assume that just because we got this grant that everybody knows what it's all about. I want them to make sure that we got a person hired, what she's going to be doing, what the counselors, what they need to do and what they don't need to do. And just to make them aware, because they're the ones who talk to kids. They're the ones who could really be a good connection to build springboard students into work-based learning experiences. So those are just a couple of things just in the last week or so that we've got going on in terms of getting the program moving forward.
That's a great update. Thanks, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't forget, with everything federal, we need a paper trail. So we need you to put that in writing and send us an email.
You got it. That'll be the task of our new work-based learning person. We'll add that to our list of things to do.
All right. Boys and Girls Club or Old Wine?
Well, Dalton, excuse me, is our new hire for this position. And I'm not sure Mr. Hadley's still with us. He had someone ill in his family today. So the two of them will be working together to answer these questions. And Michael Reber, our financial person, still manages all the budget. So, and we have a very great turnout in the high school so far for summer school. So I'm sure Dalton will be accessing some of those kids. It was good to hear, Paul, that your new person, will start right away taking all the data in, because I'm sure that's what we'll have Dalton do too. So get ready, Dalton. You'll become the data king here. So anyway, that's about all we have right now that I can share.
Thank you.
I can start us off for Des Moines. So we still are working on hiring our coordinator, but we will plan to kick off in the summer when we do our typical summer programming in June. So I don't know if our program folks, Lisa, Chris, Ariel, anything to add there on kind of where we're at? Maybe they're not on anymore. Okay. Okay, I guess that's all for us.
Nothing on my end, Nicole.
All right. All right, thank you. All right, any other questions that you'd like to ask of Vic or the Iowa After School Alliance team this morning before we log off?
I know that I've probably said this before, but thank you, Crystal and Iowa After School Alliance, for all you did to help Owine and the 2 other sites get this grant. We feel very lucky here in Owine to be invested in this program for the next 5 years. It's really amazing for our kids. So thanks for what you did and for even inviting us to participate. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It was very much a team approach to this. And of course, we can pitch all the activities we want, but we can't do it without sites like yours. So, all right, questions, comments? So just to kind of wrap up today, I will be forwarding the information from today's call to everyone. I'll include the agenda, the link to the recording, and then the March-April call document with questions. Reminder to you that you'll need to get that document back to me by next Friday. I may do something a little different moving forward. I'm kind of thinking again like a template in my head if we're going to have this kind of running conversation document type of thing. I may do a Google Doc or something so that we can go ahead and think about that. But again, more to come on that. And then, of course, I'll also be putting together the kind of end of year survey that really gets to the heart of those GEPRA measures, but then also collect some of that anecdotal evidence as well. So that'll be coming to you in the future as soon as we determine for an absolute fact what the end of year really is. And in the meantime, please feel free to continue to reach out with questions or concerns. We will plan to see everybody on May 19th for that first professional development offering. And then we, meaning the Iowa After School team and Vic, will also think about how often this group needs to meet. In the grant, we identified quarterly, and I think that's fine, except that at the very beginning of this, we may want to consider meeting just a little bit more frequently as we kind of get the project rolling. So again, thank you for your time today. Look forward to working with all of you. I'm sure there's going to be some really great things that kids will get to experience across the state of Iowa due to this funding and your hard work with this. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Get outside and enjoy the sunshine.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for